Alien students learn the real reason humans are banned from Galactic Sci-Fi story. The Kyrex Academy of Galactic Sciences was older than most civilizations in the Orion Spur. Its silver towers pierced the clouds of Theris III, reflecting starlight in such a way that approaching ships often mistook the complex for an orbital array. Every cycle, billions of young minds competed for a chance to study there. Only a few thousand succeeded. This year a human was among them. Her name was Mira Solis, a quiet, observant student from Earth whose file the admissions council had debated for nearly 30 standard hours. Humanity had a complicated history in galactic politics. They were welcome in peaceful domains, but certain regulations, one in particular, followed them like a shadow. Humans were banned from participating in any officially sanctioned interstellar warfare. Not discouraged, not advised, banned. Every other species in the galaxy had some form of military academies, war simulations, or mandatory service. But humans? Forbidden. What? Rumors. Myths. Classified files. Theories whispered in dim dorm halls. The alien students had no idea the truth was about to reveal itself. The human in the lecture hall. Mira sat near the back of Instructor Vaylor's Xenostrategy class, taking notes in perfect silence. Her posture was relaxed. Too relaxed, some thought. Krek, a Tauri with a hide of iridescent scales, whispered to his friend Zuki as he stole another glance at her. "That's the human?" Krek hissed. "She looks small. Fragile." Zuki buzzed irritably, wings flickering. "I heard their bones break easily." Another student, Froon of the Barku, tilted her massive horned head. "Then why are they banned from war? Fragile species should be encouraged to avoid conflict, not forbidden from joining it." That question hung in the air. The lights dimmed. Instructor Vaylor, a tall Noroan with translucent skin and twin luminous eyes, strode to the center of the room. "Today," Vaylor said, "we discussed the regulation against human participation in armed conflict, ratified 900 cycles ago." Every head turned toward Mira. She didn't look up. "Is it true?" Krek blurted. "That humans were banned because they're too violent?" Vaylor's gaze hardened. "No. Violence is not unique to humans. Many species display aggression." "Then, their weapons?" Zuki asked. Vaylor shook his head. "They do not possess weapons beyond the capabilities of other species." The instructor paused, glancing toward Mira as though expecting her to react. She did not. "The ban," Vaylor said carefully, "exists because of one historical incident. A catastrophe. A misunderstanding." A ripple of intrigue passed through the class. Mira finally raised her eyes just slightly. "2. The history no one spoke about. Roughly a millennium ago," Vaylor continued, "humans were newly inducted into the galactic community. Young, enthusiastic, and eager to prove themselves. At the time, the Kretar Dominion threatened several worlds along the Perseid corridor, prompting the Galactic Council to form a volunteer defense force. A holomap appeared showing 3 glowing fronts. Humans volunteered, Vaylor said. In large numbers. "Of course they did," muttered Froon. "They seek adventure." "Adventure," Vaylor echoed quietly, "is one word for it." The holomap shifted. A lone human ship appeared near the Kretar battlefront. During a council miscommunication, one human carrier group was sent outdated coordinates. They believed they were reinforcing an evacuated front. The students leaned forward. They arrived instead at a Kretar world. A civilian world. Gasps erupted. "And what did the humans do?" Krek asked. "Did they attack?" No, Vaylor's voice softened. "They landed. They established shelters. They evacuated civilians. They treated wounds. They distributed food. They repaired infrastructure." The room fell silent. "That sounds," Zuki said slowly, "admirable." "It was," Vaylor agreed. until the Kretar military mistook their humanitarian mission for an invasion. He changed the display. A massive Kretar fleet appeared. They attacked. What did the humans do then? Someone whispered. They didn't retaliate. Vaylor's tone carried an edge of reverence. They shielded civilians with their ships. They refused to fire. Krek frowned. That makes no sense. Humans are reckless, emotional, impulsive. And so, Vaylor said sharply, their enemy believed their restraint hid a deeper strategy. A trap. The hollow display flickered into a chaotic battle. And the Kretar launched their superweapon. A hush swept the room. The screen flashed white. They annihilated their own planet, Vaylor said quietly. Every Kretar citizen, gone. The humans survived only because they had no time to land fully. Silence. No one breathed. They killed themselves? Suki whispered. They could not imagine, Vaylor said, that a species capable of war would choose not to. The weight of that line sat heavy over the hall. The Galactic Council realized then that humans possess something that disrupts war itself. They break patterns. They behave unpredictably, not because of chaos but because of compassion. In war, this unpredictability terrifies military strategists. And so, humans were banned? Fryn asked. Not punished, Vaylor corrected. Protected. If humans fight, civilizations die. Not by human hands, but by the assumptions others build around humans. The room remained stunned, except for Mira. Her expression was unreadable. 3. Field trip to the strategic simulators. 1 week later, the class traveled to the Academy's tactical simulation wing, a colossal chamber capable of creating near-real combat environments. Mira walked with the others, her steps light, her face calm. Why are you here, human? Krek asked bluntly as they waited for Vaylor. If your species cannot fight, why take xenostrategy courses? Mira shrugged. Understanding conflict helps prevent it. That is the most human thing I've ever heard, Suki muttered. Vaylor clapped his hands, lights brightening overhead. Today, he announced, we conduct a simulation of wartime decision-making. A simple rescue operation. Holographic terrain materialized. Smoke, ruined buildings, distant fire. You must retrieve survivors from a collapsed dome, Vaylor said. No weapons. No combat. Just strategy. The students nodded. Mira said nothing. Begin. The teams split instantly. Krek's group approached the debris with heavy lifting drones. Suki buzzed overhead scouting pathways. Fryn used her brute strength to clear major obstacles. Mira walked. Calmly. Slowly. She knelt beside the rubble listening, not with a scanner but with her ear pressed to stone. There's a pocket here, she said quietly. 3 survivors. 1 unconscious. How do you know? Krek challenged. I can hear them breathing. Krek stared. Through 3 meters of duracrete? Mira shrugged. You learn things growing up on Earth. They followed her lead. She directed them not with authority but with a strange, natural instinct. Before anyone realized it, they had cleared a safe passage and extracted the 3 holographic survivors. Vaylor stopped the simulation. All eyes turned to Mira. I didn't do anything special, she said softly. That, Vaylor said, is precisely the point. For the incident, the Academy rarely experienced emergencies. But 3 days later, alarms blared across every level. Unidentified vessel breaching airspace. The intercom crackled. Impact predicted in 12 minutes. Students ran to shelters. Instructors took defensive positions. The Academy was neutral, unarmed, unaccustomed to real danger. The vessel descended like a wounded meteor, fire trailing behind it. It's going to crash into the East Dormitory. Suki shouted. Vaylor paled. Hundreds of students live there. Mira looked at the descending ship and exhaled slowly. Then she ran. Mira. Krek yelled. Where are you going? Stopping it. That's impossible. Frun roared, chasing after her. You can't stop a falling ship. Mira didn't slow. She sprinted across the courtyard, scaled a maintenance ladder with practiced ease, and emerged on the rooftop closest to the crash trajectory. The others reached the roof behind her. The burning vessel loomed overhead. Mira! Valor shouted from below. Get away from there. She ignored him. She closed her eyes. And did something no one expected. She spoke aloud, not to the ship but to herself. Okay, she whispered. Remember the old training. Find the balance. Shift the center. She positioned her body, muscles trembling. Mira, Krek said, what are you? The ship hit. The roof shattered. The shockwave blasted outward. But Mira didn't fly backward. She held her ground, jaw clenched, legs braced, her hands pressed against the ship's hull. For one impossible moment she stopped it. Then energy shields, a kind installed in human rescue vessels, activated around her palms, forming a glowing bubble of force. The impact redirected, sliding the vessel sideways enough to avoid the dormitory. The ship skidded across empty courtyards before coming to a stop in a heap of smoke. Mira collapsed, breathing hard. The rooftop was silent for several heartbeats. How did you do that? Zuki whispered. Mira sat up slowly. Human emergency exits have kinetic redirection fields. I wasn't wearing one, but I've trained with them. The body remembers the stance. The physics does the rest. That, Krek said hoarsely, was not physics. Valor knelt beside her, eyes wide. Now you understand, he said quietly to the others. Humans don't win wars because they're strong. They don't resist because they're stubborn. They survive because, somehow, they decide they will. Mira didn't look proud. She looked tired. The debriefing. The academy gathered in the grand hall. Mira stood before representatives from several species, instructors, and the bewildered student body. The damaged ship contained 2 survivors, merchant pilots attacked by pirates. Mira had saved hundreds of lives by diverting their crash. A Norroan ambassador spoke first. Human Mira Solace, he said, your actions were extraordinary. Reckless, but extraordinary. Mira bowed her head. Anyone would have done the same. That is not true, the ambassador replied. You acted alone against orders with no guarantee of survival. That is uniquely human. Mira flinched slightly. Do you understand, he continued, why humanity was banned from warfare? Mira hesitated. Yes, she murmured. Because we confuse people. Laughter broke out, but Valor shook his head. No. Because you changed the rules. Mira looked at him sharply. You walk into war zones and build hospitals instead of fortresses. You land on enemy planets and hug the children. You see danger and run toward it. You treat compassion as strategy and bravery as instinct. The ambassador stepped closer. War requires predictability, strategy, logic. He gestured to the students. These species win battles with calculations. Then he pointed at Mira. You win them with something else. Mira exhaled slowly. Humanity didn't mean to be dangerous. But you are, Valor said gently. Not because of violence, but because of your refusal to let violence dictate your actions. Mira said nothing. The ambassador continued. The ban remains. Humans will never fight again in galactic wars. But not because you are unstable or uncontrollable. He paused. But because you are too powerful in ways we cannot understand. Your compassion is a weapon we cannot counter. Your unpredictability turns battles into chaos. Your bravery inspires enemies to self-destruct rather than face the unknown. Mira swallowed. So we're exiled from war, she said quietly. Because we mess up your plans. No, Valor said softly. Because when humans enter war, war stops being war. It becomes something else entirely. 6. The lesson they never forgot. The academy returned to normal in the weeks that followed, at least outwardly. But something had changed. Krek started sitting beside Mira in class. Zuki asked endless questions about Earth's strange customs. Frun invited her to join strength training sessions. And Valor, after every lecture, handed her a personal datapad of advanced ethical philosophy, saying only, "You will need this knowledge someday. The galaxy listens to humans when it least expects to." One evening, as the twin moons of Theris 3 rose over the academy, the students gathered with Mira outside the simulation hall. "Will humans ever be allowed to fight again?" Zuki asked. Mira shook her head. "I hope not. We don't fight because we want to win. We fight because someone needs help. And that makes things messy." Krek stared at her thoughtfully. "I used to think humans were dangerous because they were strong." Mira smiled faintly. "We're dangerous because we care too much." Frun grunted. "That's terrifying." Mira laughed. "Yeah, it is." As the moons climbed higher, the alien students understood something new, not because of the ban or the history or the tragedy of the Kretar world, but because of Mira. Humans weren't terrifying for the reasons everyone assumed. They were terrifying because they were unwilling to give up even when logic demanded it. Because they were fearless when protecting others. Because they were impossible to predict, not out of chaos but out of heart. A galaxy of warriors feared human compassion more than human weapons. And at last the alien students finally understood why humanity, small, fragile, unpredictable humanity, was the only species ever banned from galactic war. Not as a punishment, but as a warning, and as a safeguard. Because if humans ever took part in war again, the galaxy knew one truth above all. Humanity would change everything.